Our unity and love for one another will always be stronger than the hate of the extremists.
Sorry? I'm human, talk to me as such.
London stands in defiance against this cowardly attack.
But I know you had to think for a while before taking this part. What was the turning point that made you end up taking it?
I initially said no because I was kind of scared of spending so long away from home, and then I ended up catching a second wind.
You do not commit these disgusting acts in my name.
Since she didn't have to, Rachel Zegler remained silent. Everything was clear from the expression on her face. She had been fighting against headlines, critics, and even government leaders for weeks, but this time it was different.
I just wanted to go on this little baby rant about Rachel Zegler. They've gone through various scandals with this girl. Not because she can't keep her mouth shut. I'm totally fine with with the celebrities telling me what their politics are, who they're voting for, etc., etc. But we've become accustomed to that. But because she has this underlying anger and hatred in her that always has to take it like one step too far.
She was photographed by paparazzi outside her London apartment. Stooped, with red eyes, smudged mascara, and a noticeable trembling. She hurried into a waiting car, protected from the cameras by 2 security officers. She appeared to have recently gotten heartbreaking news because she didn't grin or wave, and the video was all over in a matter of minutes.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it. Alright, congrats, Rachel. Good luck.
Speculation erupted on social media. She was simply exhausted, according to some supporters, but others weren't so sure. Especially after a mysterious post from someone claiming to be employed by the UK's Department for Culture had gone viral. Just hours earlier, Evita production is about to make a big decision, the message said. Public perception is important. No details, no names. However, it didn't take long for those who were following the drama to make the connections.
One of the most disgraced actresses of our entire lifetime is having yet another insane, hilarious meltdown over the complete and total backlash that has basically ended her entire career in Hollywood before it even started. And she is back once again to absolutely go scorch earth to attack everyone that was not happy about the insane things that she's been saying over the past couple of years. She is not happy, and it's very obvious with everything that is going on.
Zegler's collapse felt symbolic as well as emotional. Just as accusations of government meddling started to circulate, a rising Hollywood star, who had been flown in to direct a big London production, abruptly broke down in public. It was difficult to overlook the timing. Was there a larger issue that wasn't yet public knowledge, or was this a mental health crisis brought on by outside pressure? In any case, it was evident that Rachel Zegler was no longer merely defending her reputation. Rather, she might be defending her position, or, worse, her future in the UK.
Rachel Zegler's in the news because she's fast becoming the new Brie Larson. She is taking over as the most unlikable woman in Hollywood ever to promote a movie.
Truly a cultural milestone that Rachel Zegler has reached. Most annoying female lead in all of history.
She is the most unlikable woman I've ever seen in my life. Holy crap!
However, how did this happen? Why is a US musical actress supposedly attracting the attention of the British government? One viral moment that turned a theatrical dream into a global scandal holds the key to the solution.
In the 1970s, Tim Rice became fascinated by her and worked out the concept for a musical, which would become the smash hit Evita with music by Andrew Lloyd Webber. One commentator wrote this: Evita Peron symbolizes certain naive but effective beliefs, a hope for a better world, a life sacrificed on the altar of the disinherited, the humiliated, and the poor of the earth.
It was intended to be a straightforward photo opportunity, brief wave to admirers, and a beaming nod from the balcony of one of the most famous theaters in London. As though she owned the city, Rachel Zegler stood by herself, chin up, arms crossed, gazing down at the street below. The internet exploded, cameras flashed, and a new enemy appeared. Overnight, what was supposed to be a promotional moment for Evita became a meme. Some quipped that she appeared to be a ruler looking over her realm, and critics dubbed it the Marie Antoinette moment of Gen Z Hollywood. Not everyone was amused, though, as women's organizations in the UK referred to the incident as tone-deaf and accused Zegler of seeming superior to the milieu in which she performed. The retaliation was swift and severe.
A lot of what you see with Zegler is really just a pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work. She believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth, or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. And one of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project, thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
It didn't help that Zegler had already established a reputation on the internet for her scathing remarks and unrepentant views. Her previous remarks, denouncing Snow White as strange and out of date, reappeared, and British tabloids had a field day headlines ridiculed her demeanor, questioned her casting, and rekindled discussions about whether American celebrities follow the laws they're required to follow or the nations in which they perform.
Rachel Zegler is reportedly struggling to get hired. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be in Paddington 3, however she was dropped from that movie a few weeks ago, and they said that they dropped her because of the actors' strike. However, there are numerous actors in Paddington 3 that are a part of SAG, yet they're still able to film in the movie. But people are speculating that it might be because of another reason, and most likely is because of the Snow White backlash, and studios not wanting to hire her given the fact that it might result in their movie not making a whole lot of money at the box office. She also voiced the lead character of an upcoming cartoon that was meant to be part of Apple TV. However, Apple dropped the cartoon film. However, it was picked up by Netflix, but people are wondering why Apple dropped it in the first place, and people once again are saying it's because of this Snow White backlash and them not wanting the movie to suffer because of her backlash.
A statement that was purportedly leaked from someone close to the Mayor of London within 48 hours was scathing but unofficial. London doesn't negotiate with narcissists. Suddenly, the tone changed from embarrassment to open hostility. This marked the beginning of the transition from gossip to geopolitics. However, many who believed that the dispute would finish at the mayor's office were mistaken, since it spread to Whitehall, which is far more influential.
Some of the main triggers for a narcissist are perceived rejection. So if you reject them or say no to them, watch out. Not getting what they want, not getting enough attention, you're not feeding me enough, or anything that messes with their image. So what happens if they don't get what they want or they get triggered? Usually they go to anger, and then they get cruel, they lash out, they say extremely hurtful things, and they can be very destructive.
It initially appeared to be a typical tabloid quarrel, with a politician and a celebrity arguing, headlines being produced, and everyone moving on. However, this time was different because rumors started to circulate that the UK government, namely the Department for Culture, Media, and Sport, was secretly observing the situation and wasn't amused.
If you could interview Rachel Zegler, what kind of questions would you be asking her?
I'd start with a lot of softballs. I'd get her to kind of get a bond or a trust with us.
Yeah.
I always like to do that. A little bit of life, her career, the gig. And that's like, when you give interviews like this, when you share those thoughts, that it's rather divisive and it seems like you're insulting the work you're trying to honor. Why do you say that, or would you say it differently? I mean, I just go directly at that point. I mean, you have to. You're out promoting your movie. You're talking to all these people. You don't have to. It's your job. Your job is to get eyeballs to the movie. Why would you insult the source material that way? This material has been beloved for years and decades. Is that a conflict there? What's if it ain't broke, so to speak? I think that's straight and fair.
Why would the government be concerned? Because Evita is more than just a play. It's a well-known, publicly funded cultural event that has a global audience and national media coverage. And appearances count when public indignation erupts in this way. Everyone who supports the show, including the government, is affected if the lead actress is perceived as being disrespectful, contemptuous, or politically toxic. According to sources, purportedly within the DCMS, internal talks regarding re-evaluating support for works that foster societal division rather than unity have already occurred. Rachel Zegler was the only name that kept popping up. Additionally, pressure increased as the reaction continued. A leaked email thread purportedly from an inside government advisor then went viral on social media. It implied that based on shifts in public opinion, Evita's financial or logistical support would be susceptible to modification. Although Zegler was not specifically mentioned in the telegram, everyone understood its meaning. The question was now whether the entire production could withstand this degree of examination, not just one act. Producers were in a tough spot, because Rachel Zegler wasn't just the star. She was the controversy, and the government didn't want to be seen supporting it. Furthermore, the situation behind the scenes was about to get even more intricate. According to reports, something even more turbulent was taking place behind closed doors. The rehearsals, while the media concentrated on her balcony moment and the political fallout. Inside the theater, rumors circulated that the set was not only stressful, but volatile. According to reports, the atmosphere was tense and uncomfortable for the cast and staff. It was even referred to as poisonous by some. There were rumors that Zegler and the director were at odds over stage decisions. According to others, she regularly arrived late or made last-minute demands that caused group practices to go awry. According to a gossip columnist, one unnamed source said, "Everyone seems to be quite cautious about her. It's impossible to predict whether she will become passionate or simply blow out." Then came the tales of diva behavior, private dressing room requests, refusal to take notes, and supposedly storming off set when situations didn't go her way. The consistency of the rumors started to form a picture of a production going awry. Even if none of this has been confirmed publicly, people were angry, morale was poor, and worst of all, word was beginning to spread. Then the biggest warning sign of all appeared. Internet rumors circulated that Evita's lead had secretly held replacement tryouts. An unconfirmed Reddit post purporting to be from a venue employee stated that producers were looking into backup plans in case the cast needed to be reorganized. Although no names were mentioned, it was obvious that Rachel Zegler was no longer untouchable. The emotional toll was just starting to manifest, and her role was in jeopardy. The public already knew something was amiss when the now famous video of Rachel Zegler appeared. However, nobody anticipated this silence. No Instagram story, no announcement, and an actress who was clearly scared outside her makeshift home in London, with guards on either side of her, wearing big sunglasses and no makeup. The paparazzi inquired about her well-being, whether the show was still on, and whether the rumors were accurate. She didn't say a single word. More powerful than anything she could have tweeted was that quiet. Online body language specialists jumped right in. Some others conjectured that she had recently gotten heartbreaking news. After attending a high-level conference, others said she was giving in to the constant pressure from the public. Whatever the cause, one thing seemed obvious. This was a breaking moment, not a performance. Then things worsened. According to reports, a grainy image taken inside the theater foyer showed producers clustered around a table with nervous faces and paperwork in hand. According to one insider, this was an urgent meeting to talk about possible cast reorganization. Another stated Rachel had been given the opportunity to leave in private but had declined. Online fans scrutinized every element of her most recent social media posts. She had lost her TikTok, recent posts were removed from her Instagram, and the theories increased in tandem with the quiet. Some worried she was fired, while others said she was leaving. However, the reality remained hidden behind closed doors. Furthermore, the court of public opinion had already rendered a decision. When word of Rachel's emotional collapse circulated online, the sympathy was short-lived. What started out as worry swiftly turned into censure. Already divided, the public began to turn against her. Her silence was viewed by some as a deceptive, public relations tactic, while others accused her of playing the victim. The comments came pouring in. One user commented, "This is what happens when you disrespect a whole culture. You've got the attention you sought." One of the online petitions that began to circulate called for Rachel Zegler to be replaced before Evita had made its premiere. Another, citing cultural integrity and taxpayer accountability, demanded that the production use a British actress for the part. Both petitions received thousands of signatures in less than 48 hours. The press was unrelenting. The question of whether American celebrities should be permitted to direct British productions at all was discussed on UK talk programs. Rachel Zegler came to London to play a revolutionary and instead became the revolution. One tabloid columnist even went so far as to claim it was personal as well as rude. Furthermore, the trend had already shifted. Even if some supporters defended her, saying the criticism was disproportionate and misogynistic, It had evolved into a cultural conflict. Rather than merely a theatrical issue, brands stepped back. Two of the production's minor sponsors allegedly withdrew their promotional materials earlier. According to a source close to Rachel's management, her team was frantically working behind the scenes, quietly but obviously. Consultations with attorneys, agents, and damage management experts started to happen every day. However, no one was able to halt the freefall because each day that passed without a statement or an explanation meant that the story got bigger and closer to breaking. Even insiders were split on this topic. Was Rachel Zegler's job at Evita going to be saved? Was it too late to salvage the story, or had the harm been done? Her team allegedly wrote a message, a kind of apology, intended to be accompanied with an emotional video. However, rumors have it that Rachel wasn't on board. She didn't want to seem helpless. She resisted giving in to what she perceived to be a politically motivated smear campaign. More significantly, she didn't want to appease her detractors, but she might have lost everything as a result of that choice. According to reports, producers were incensed behind the scenes by the silence as well as the public criticism, according to one leaked correspondence purportedly from a marketing team member. If our lead is a ghost, we can't sell this show. After starting out well, ticket pre-sales started to stall. Furthermore, the possibility of a financial collapse increased significantly with the uncertainty surrounding funding. To exacerbate the situation, a fresh rumor surfaced, which enraged both admirers and detractors. According to reports, a budding West End actress had been seen on the Evita set after hours. Some suggested it was a coincidence, while others said she was there to read for the part. However, it made no difference in the realm of online speculative discourse. The harm had already proliferated like wildfire, and time was running out for Rachel Zegler, who appeared to be on the verge of taking over Hollywood, but was suddenly mired in controversy across the Atlantic, because everything may end with what happened next. Can Evita survive this, or has the damage been too great? This is the dilemma at the heart of this cultural inferno, one that transcends any one actress, moment, or even program. What started out as a popular West End revival has become a hot topic for national discussion, political indignation, and international news. Insiders now claim that the production's future is in jeopardy. Government representatives and arts funding bodies are reportedly holding discreet talks to decide whether it is culturally ethical to continue supporting the event. Because now it's about optics, public opinion, and government dollars, not just Rachel Zegler. The political fallout might be severe if the British government is perceived to be supporting a production in which the star actress is embroiled in a major scandal. This would put everyone involved in a precarious situation. Producers are in a situation where they cannot win. They run the danger of offending sponsors and viewers if they continue to support Zegler. They run the risk of being accused of giving in to online thugs if they replace her, which would further harm their reputation. Additionally, time is running out quickly as opening night approaches. According to reports, cast members are being instructed to maintain their flexibility behind the scenes. Routines are being revised by choreographers. Alternate cues are being explained to stagehands. Additionally, a persistent but unsubstantiated rumor claims that a completely separate version of the performance, featuring a backup lead, is being secretly practiced after hours just in case. Regarding Rachel, she remains silent. No red carpets, no announcements, no tweets. Some claim she's hiding, while others say she's remaining strong. However, everyone agrees that this is now the story of an empire on the brink of collapse, not merely the story of a musical. And it hasn't ended yet. Rachel Zegler may have stepped right into a tempest she didn't anticipate when she traveled to London with the intention of making history. It's no longer simply about acting. From a widely shared balcony moment to political blowback, leaked government documents, and cancellation rumors. In the era of immediate outrage, it's about reputation, identity, and the harsh price of celebrity. Only time will tell if Rachel retains her part, if Evita survives opening night, or if this is the beginning of a precipitous decline in popularity. However, one thing is for sure. Rachel Zegler's career has already been rewritten by this scandal, and the last act hasn't even begun yet. The next chapter may be the most stunning one yet, so be sure to subscribe and enable notifications if you want to be informed as this narrative develops, and trust me, it's far from over.